Clara had always been different from her peers. While her coworkers often lingered after office hours for drinks, small talk, or team outings, she quietly slipped out of the building, a book tucked under her arm. She never lingered at parties, rarely answered idle messages, and didn't keep up with the endless scroll of social media. On top of that, she never wore makeup, not out of rebellion, but simply because she didn't feel the need to. At first, people whispered about her. "Isn't she lonely?" asked a colleague once. "Doesn't she care what people think?" Another joked, "She's probably hiding something." But Clara didn't notice these whispers. She had long since stopped defining herself by others' expectations. To her, life was too short to spend energy on appearances or unnecessary conversations. Her apartment was simple but warm, filled with plants, books, and a few treasured objects from her travels. The absence of extravagant decor or makeup kits didn't feel like deprivation. It felt like freedom. Clara preferred quality over quantity in everything, including friendships. She had a small circle of people she trusted and valued, and that was enough. She didn't crave approval, and she didn't measure her worth by how many people liked her. People often assumed her quietness meant shyness or insecurity, but in reality, it was intentional. Clara cherished her inner world. She spent her evenings cooking carefully chosen meals, reading, writing in her journal, or simply sitting by the window watching the city lights. She found energy in solitude, and solitude, for her, was a source of clarity and strength. Social gatherings, in contrast, felt draining. She had learned that the effort to maintain superficial connections often outweighed the reward. Her avoidance of makeup was another statement, though unspoken. While many women around her spent hours blending, contouring, and highlighting, Clara faced the world as she was. People noticed. Some judged, some envied. But Clara understood something most didn't. Beauty, or its illusion, is transient and external, whereas authenticity is lasting. Not wearing makeup wasn't laziness. It was a declaration that she valued honesty over impression, substance over image. Despite her reserved nature, Clara was far from disconnected. When she did engage, her presence was magnetic. She listened intently, spoke thoughtfully, and had an uncanny ability to make people feel truly seen. Her friends described her as refreshing or grounding. In a world full of noise, Clara's quiet authenticity was rare. She didn't compete for attention or validation. She simply existed, and that existence carried weight. Her life choices also reflected deep self-awareness. Clara avoided unnecessary socializing, not out of fear, but out of discernment. She had learned that some conversations drain rather than nourish, that some gatherings are performative rather than meaningful. By choosing when and with whom to engage, she protected her energy and her peace of mind. This selectiveness allowed her to invest deeply in the relationships that mattered. When she attended a gathering, it wasn't out of obligation, but because it resonated with her values or brought genuine joy. Colleagues and acquaintances sometimes misunderstood her independence. They assumed she was lonely or difficult. But Clara thrived on autonomy. She traveled alone, pursued hobbies without external validation, and pursued intellectual and emotional growth at her own pace. She didn't need to be surrounded by noise to feel alive. She carried a universe within her, and that universe was enough. Her approach to life was quietly radical in a culture that prizes extroversion, constant engagement, and curated appearances. By avoiding unnecessary socializing and rejecting makeup, Clara embodied a different kind of confidence, one that wasn't performative, one that didn't bend to societal pressure. She reminded others that self-respect and fulfillment don't always require conformity. Over time, even the skeptics began to notice the wisdom in her ways. People admired her discipline, her calm, her ability to stay true to herself. Younger colleagues, initially baffled, sought her advice on managing stress and balancing life. Clara's choices, once questioned, became a model for living intentionally. In the end, Clara was a person who refused to dilute her life with pretense. She found joy in the quiet moments, strength in solitude, and freedom in authenticity. She didn't chase approval, and she didn't need to. She was her own measure of beauty, her own source of energy, and her own definition of fulfillment. To know Clara was to understand that strength is often silent, that confidence doesn't always announce itself, and that choosing one's path without apology is one of the most courageous acts a person can undertake. Her life was a lesson. Happiness and authenticity are rarely found in the crowd, but in the quiet, deliberate choices of someone willing to stand alone.